They booked a luxury cabin for New Year's without even telling me, then had the nerve to show up at my doorstep, begging me to let them in when it all went wrong. They said I wasn't fun enough for the family trip this year, that I'd just bring the mood down. So while they packed champagne and ski boots, I was sitting alone in my tiny apartment, pretending it didn't hurt. Ever felt like the black sheep in your own family? Watch how this turns around. Like, share, and subscribe if you're done being underestimated. Now back to the story. At first, I thought maybe it was a misunderstanding. I messaged in the family group chat when I saw my niece post a selfie from a snowy cabin in Aspen. Looks amazing. Didn't even know we were doing a trip this year, I wrote. No one replied. Not for hours. Then finally, my sister Melissa sent, "Oh, we thought you'd be busy with your yoga classes?" I hadn't taught a yoga class in months. I had stopped entirely after my back injury. They knew that. My niece Emma commented, "Next year for sure, Aunt Amma." This one was kind of last minute. Except it wasn't last minute. The cabin had been booked 6 months ago. I knew because I was the one who helped Dad browse the rentals back then. He'd said it would be a big family getaway like old times. But suddenly I wasn't invited, and they weren't even subtle about it. I watched as every cousin, sibling, in-law, even my ex-husband's new wife, shared cozy pictures by the fire, matching pajamas, wine glasses clinking, and inside jokes I didn't understand anymore. I cried that night. Not because they left me out, but because they didn't even think I'd notice. But here's what they didn't know. While they were posting cabin selfies, I was sitting in my new 3-bedroom house. The one they didn't know I owned. The one I bought in cash after 5 years of silently building an online wellness business they all mocked me for starting. They didn't know that Aita Holistics, the brand they used to laugh about, had landed a 7-figure corporate deal just last month. They didn't know I was working with Fortune 500 companies now, doing what I love. And they definitely didn't know I had booked the exact same luxury cabin in Aspen for New Year's. For myself, and not just for myself. For the people who never abandoned me. But here's where it gets really good. On New Year's Eve, a blizzard hit. Pipes froze at their cabin. The heat failed, roads shut down, no power, no Wi-Fi. And guess whose name came up on the emergency lodging list? Mine. The same uninvited aunt they left behind. That night, I heard a knock at my private suite's door. I checked the camera feed, and there they were. Freezing, shivering, desperate. Melissa was banging on the glass, yelling, "Amma, we need to come in. Don't be selfish." I didn't move. I just watched them. The same way they watched my messages in the group chat. Ignored. And that's when I did something that would change everything. I walked over to the fireplace, poured myself a glass of wine, and sat down like I didn't hear a thing. My phone buzzed. Texts started flooding in. Melissa. "Amma, please, it's freezing. The kids are with us. Dad. Beta, open the door. We didn't know the weather would turn like this." Emma. "Aunt Amma, I'm really sorry. Can we please stay the night?" Funny. Now they remembered I existed. I stood up slowly, walked to the door, and opened it just a crack. Cold wind slapped my face, but what I saw was colder. My whole family. Standing there, soaked, teeth chattering, bags in hand like refugees begging for mercy. I didn't say anything at first, just stared. Then Melissa broke the silence. "Come on, Amma. This isn't you. Don't be so dramatic." "Dramatic? You mean like being cut out of the family vacation I helped plan?" I said calmly. "That kind of dramatic?" They looked. Away. No one could meet my eyes. "We thought you'd say no," Dad mumbled, suddenly looking so small. "We didn't think you'd want to come." "No, you just didn't want me there," I snapped. Let's not pretend. They were shivering, kids whining in the background. And I swear, for a split second, Melissa's pride cracked. "You're right," she whispered. "We messed up, but can we please talk inside?" I stepped out of the way. They all sighed in, relief, and started moving toward the warm glow inside, until I said, "Only the kids come in." Everyone froze. Melissa turned red. "Excuse me?" "You heard me. The kids come in. The rest of you can go figure it out. Maybe one of your Instagram followers has a spare room." "You can't be serious, Amma," my brother-in-law Mark said, trying to puff up. "You'd let us freeze out here?" I smiled. "Oh, now I'm the selfish one?" It was silent for a beat. Then I leaned closer and said what I had been holding in for years. "All my life, I've been the extra, the afterthought, the weird one who didn't belong. But not anymore. I own this cabin. I own my life now. And for once, I choose who gets to come in." I let the kids inside, set them up with hot chocolate and warm blankets. They looked so confused, innocent. They didn't deserve to suffer for their parents' cruelty. From the window, I watched the adults trudge back to their frozen rental. Melissa tried to call again. I didn't answer. Instead, I played a little music, turned on the fireplace lights, and smiled. Because for the first time in years, I felt peace. But that was just one night. They had no idea what was coming next, and when they saw what I did the very next morning, the family would never see me the same way again. The next morning, I woke up to 12 missed calls, 8 texts, and 1 voicemail that started with, "Amma, I know you're upset, but," and ended with a cough and an excuse. I didn't reply. Instead, I walked outside into the crisp morning air, coffee in hand, and watched as a luxury SUV pulled into the snowy driveway. The driver stepped out and opened the door like clockwork. Out came Mr. Jensen, CEO of a wellness franchise chain that had just signed a $2.4 million deal with my company. He smiled. "Ms. Patel, everything is ready. We've finalized the expansion into Los Angeles and Denver. You'll be our lead advisor, across both markets." Behind him, another car pulled up, this one full of young wellness creators and business influencers. My team. My people. They greeted me with hugs and warm laughter like I belonged, like I mattered. And right then, from across the hill I saw them, my family, bundled in coats, dragging their feet across the snow, heading to the Ski Lodge's restaurant. The same one where I had just bought exclusive rights for a wellness event. They hadn't seen me yet. But when they walked into the lobby and saw my face on a digital banner, welcoming guests to the Patel Winter Wellness Experience, everything froze. Literally and emotionally. Melissa stopped mid-step. Emma gasped. Mark's jaw clenched. Dad looked like he had seen a ghost. "Wait, Amma's hosting this?" someone whispered. I walked in behind them, smiling. "Surprise." Melissa blinked fast, trying to process it. You organized this whole thing? Every speaker, every guest, every deal, every dollar." I let that sink in. Then I dropped the real bomb. "And I'm donating half the profits from this event to single mothers recovering from injury, like I was." Emma's eyes welled up. She whispered, "Aunt Amma, I had no idea you were doing all this." Melissa stepped forward. "Amma, why didn't you tell us any of this?" "Because I was tired of explaining myself to people who only listen when it benefits them." They were quiet. For the first time, they had nothing to say. Then Melissa tried to pivot. "Look, I know we messed up, but maybe we can talk? Maybe come to dinner tonight?" I looked her dead in the eyes. "Tonight I'll be flying to New York for a press interview," I said. "But you can always watch me on TV." I turned and walked away as cameras clicked, as guests gathered, and as my family stood there, shocked, silent, and absolutely powerless. But I wasn't doing this to flex. I was doing this for the younger me who sat alone on New Year's, wondering why she never felt enough. And now they were the ones on the outside. The private terminal was glowing with soft lights when I arrived that evening, my suitcase rolling quietly behind me. A staff member greeted me by name and guided me toward the jet waiting on the runway. My jet, not chartered, not rented, bought, in full. But just as I was stepping into the cabin, my phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. "We need to talk. You're making a mistake. Dad." I stared at the screen, my heart thudding. A second message came right after. I should have protected you. But there's something you don't know about why you were left out. My hand froze midair. I almost didn't board. But I did. Because I'd learned something over the years. Some people only reach out when they feel your power. And that text? It didn't come from guilt. It came from fear. As the jet took off, I looked down at the snowy hills below. The same hills where I was once invisible. And now, I was flying over them like I had never belonged there in the first place. But in my gut, something was off. That last message from Dad wasn't just guilt-tripping. It sounded like a warning. When I landed in New York, my assistant greeted me with a folder. "Something strange came up," she said. "This was mailed to the office yesterday. No return address. It has your name on it." Inside was a document, a property deed. But not mine. It was a deed to the Aspen cabin, the original one my family had booked. Only, it had my name listed under co-owner. My eyes narrowed. How could I be a co-owner of a cabin I didn't even know they finalized? Then, I saw the date signed. 6 months ago. And the co-signer? My mother's name. But she passed away 2 years ago. I sat down, trying to process it. Had someone used her name, faked a document? Or was this some forgotten deal she arranged before her death? Then another thought hit me harder than anything else. What if I was never truly left out? What if I was cut out on purpose? That night, before the interview, I called my lawyer. Asked him to dig deeper into the family trust, Mom's estate, and any shared property documents. And within 20 minutes, I got a call back. "Amma," he said slowly, "I think you need to prepare yourself. There's a hidden clause in your mother's will. One your family never told you about." "What kind of clause?" I asked, breath caught in my throat. He hesitated, then said something that changed. "Everything. Your mother left you full ownership, but only if they never told you about it. And the second they did, they lost all rights to the property, the money, everything." I leaned back in my chair, stunned. So they knew. They knew all along. And they chose to exclude me, to protect their own claim. That's when I realized this wasn't about a vacation. It was about control, power, inheritance. And now that power belonged to me. Every inch of it, but I wasn't going to confront them yet. No, I had a better idea. A public one. One they'd never forget. And what I did next? It didn't just shock my family. It shocked the entire town. The morning of the town's winter gala arrived. An event so rooted in Aspen tradition that every socialite, business owner, and old money family marked their calendar for it. And this year, for the first time ever, the gala's entire sponsorship was listed under one name, Amma Patel Enterprises. The town square was lit up with banners, glistening lights, and a massive stage at the center. But the biggest surprise wasn't the event itself. It was the breaking news announced just as guests began arriving. Local entrepreneur Amma Patel acquires historic Aspen, cabin through inheritance clause, family members disqualified by fraud. It was everywhere. CNN picked it up, local papers ran it. Local. Business pages posted it. And when Melissa and Dad showed up in their best clothes, pretending like nothing happened, they walked right into a hall filled with whispers. She was cut out on purpose? They hid her name from a legal will? They stole from their own blood? People moved aside as they walked by. Smiles faded. No one hugged them. No one asked for photos. I waited until everyone had taken their seats, then stepped up on stage, microphone in hand. "Thank you all for being here tonight," I said calmly. "Before we begin the evening's festivities, I have a small story to share." I saw them in the crowd, my father's head down, Melissa blinking rapidly, trying to act unfazed. "I grew up believing that being quiet and kind would earn me a place in the family," I continued. "But some families don't want peace. They want control, and they'll sacrifice anyone who threatens that." People leaned in, phones recorded, You could hear a pin drop. But here's the twist. Sometimes the person they throw away is the one holding the keys to everything they thought they owned. Gasps. Murmurs. I smiled. Tonight's gala is not just about community, it's about truth. And so, I'd like to dedicate the first donation of the evening to an organization that matters deeply to me. One that supports women who've been silenced, sidelined, or stolen from. A spotlight hit the check beside me, $500,000 to She Rises Foundation. The room erupted into applause. Then, just as the music began and people stood to celebrate, I made my way off stage and passed right by my family. Melissa reached out. "Amma, please. We didn't know the clause. We thought it was just paperwork." "No," I said softly. "You knew. You just never thought I'd find out." Dad looked at me with teary eyes. "You've changed." I turned, my voice calm. "No. I just stopped begging to be seen." That night, as I stood on the rooftop overlooking the snowy mountains, champagne in hand, I thought about all the versions of me they tried to erase, and how none of them could have imagined this version, the one who didn't need a seat at their table. Because she built a new one. In her name. In her power. And when the gala fireworks exploded above Aspen, the crowd cheered. But I didn't smile for the cameras. I smiled because I knew, finally, they would never underestimate me again. And deep down, they knew it too. The forgotten one had become unforgettable, and this time, they were locked out. For good.